wherever you are listening or watching Radio Afinju. The time is 9 a.m.
Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfíjù. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfíjù. Rédíò. Àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfíjù. Lórí WhatsApp. Àfíjù. Instagram. Àfíjù. Facebook. Àfíjù. Lórí X. Àfíjù. Lórí YouTube. Àfíjù. Lórí TikTok. Àfíjù. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfíjù. Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfíjù. Rédíò. Àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo Àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfíjù. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo Àfíjù. Rédíò Àfíjù. Rédíò Àfíjù. Rédíò Àfíjù.
Life no get duplicate.
Na so ẹ̀mí ò láàárọ̀ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o. Make you take am easy.
Na so.
Radio Afinju says if you drink, don't drive. If you drive, don't drink.
Tẹ́ jẹ́jẹ́ o.
Make you take am easy.
Na so.
This awareness is brought to you by Radio Afinju.
We are super eagles flying. We believe it, we can achieve it. If we work harder, we will receive it. Them no fit take us, them no fit break us. Hands in the air, yes, it's a celebration. Rapping for Niger, pride of our nation. Standing together, our voices raising. Niger forever, strong Niger. One heart, one hope, one song. Oh, Nada, we'll make it through the rain. And together at the end of the day, we all say, when I get older, I will be stronger. Yeah. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. So wave your flag, now 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 wave your flag. Oh.
So wave the flag higher, wave it in the sky. Let the flag inspire us as now we unify. The spirit of the people, nothing can break it now. This is our chance for victory, we have to take it now. Our hearts are elevating, like eagles soaring high. As every culture comes together, we can rule the sky. Together in the night, child move into one beat. The shouts of jubilation, the dancing in the street.
Niger forever strong, let's go. One heart, one hope, one soul. Niger, we'll make it through the rain. And together at the end of the day, we all say, when I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. So wave your flag, now 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 wave your flag. Oh. Give me freedom, give me fire, give me reason, take me higher. See the champions take the field now. Unify us, make us feel proud. In the streets our heads are lifting as we lose our inhibition. Celebration, it's around us. Every nation, all around us. Singing forever young, singing songs underneath the sun. Let's go, Niger. It's a beautiful game. And together at the end of the day, everybody sing it. When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. When I get older, I will be stronger. They'll call me freedom, just like a waving flag. So wave your flag, now wave your flag, now wave your flag. be stronger. God call me freedom, just like a wavy.
Yeah. Sound Sultan and Janinja. Canis, you know what they do. This one of all my brothers, we don't go outside Nigeria, we don't jam.
Well, I hope I'm not the only one in a winning mood this morning, because Nigeria is going to turn out winners at the World Cup qualifiers. It is my hope and prayer, and I hope we all feel the same as well. Good morning. You're welcome to this morning's edition of the Dailies, where we'll bring you stories making front pages of all our national, or most of our national newspapers. With me this morning, I have about 4 or 5 newspapers, and we'll be looking at some of the headlines for today. I have with me the Punch newspaper, I have Guardian, I have Vanguard, I have New Telegraph, and I also have The Nation. Let's look at some of the headlines on this national dailies. But before we go on with that, my name is Pearl Durotoye, and it is my pleasure to be with you on the dailies this morning. Don't forget, you can watch us live on Radio Afinju. We're on all social media platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, all at Radio Afinju. Or you can also stream our audio stream just on our website at www.afinjufm.com, or go to radio.garden, search for Afinju, and you will find us there. A look at the stories for this morning. The first newspaper here on Punch, it says, "The slain husband's family slams Tinubu's pardon for Mary Ann Sanda." You find this on the Punch. And also, Fubara swears in SSG, cautions against power abuse. The next story from Lagos. Lagos rearranges kidnap kingpin Evans over 2 police's murder. And then another story from the Punch as well says, retired AIG leads probe into killings by Oshun Amo Tekun. Moving on to Vanguard, I have a story here with me. Do or die clash. 3 teams, 1 chance. Yes, this is talking about the World Cup qualifiers, where the Super Eagles, they are going to prove themselves alongside other countries at the World Cup qualifiers today. And then another headline here says, NNPCL others hike petrol price to 922 naira in Lagos and 955 naira in Abuja. I'll take that again. NNPCL others hike petrol price to 922 naira in Lagos and 955 in Abuja. And then another headline here from The Guardian, the only story I'll be looking at from The Guardian here. It says 72.64% of Nigeria's petrol imported amid rivalry from new refineries. This is from The Guardian newspaper. And then let's go on to the next paper for this morning, New Telegraph. I have a story here that says NAS, National Assembly, proposes November 2026 for presidential guber and governorship polls. NAS proposes November 2026 for presidential and guber polls. You find this on the New Telegraph, and we'll be looking at the pages in a while. And then the next story says PDP will hold the best convention in history despite defections. This is coming from Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde. And then another story here, tributes as renowned evangelist Umar Ukbai dies at 80. We'll be looking at that story as well. And then on to the last paper for the day, The Nation. This headline here says, Mba opens another gale of governor's defection to APC. And then another story, FCCPC to enforce CBN rule for banks to refund failed ATM transactions in 48 hours. And then another story here says, federal government directs VCs to enforce no work, no pay rule. This and many more stories are what we'll be looking at this morning, and I'll also be pointing you the right direction to look forward to. Stick with us. This is the Dailies on Radio Afinju. You're welcome back to the Dailies. And now let's look at the first story of the morning, which is a slain husband's family slams Tinubu's pardon for Mary Ann Sanda. Slain husband's family slams Tinubu's pardon for Mary Ann Sanda. If you would remember, a few days ago, some people, or the president granted pardon to certain groups of people, one of which is Herbert Macaulay. So let's look at what the story is saying for this morning. The family of late Bilyamin Ubelo has condemned the presidential pardon granted to his wife, Miriam Sanda, who was convicted and sentenced to death for his mother. They described the move as the worst possible injustice any family could be made to go through. In a statement on Monday, Dr. Bello Mohammed, on behalf of the family, said that the decision by President Bola Tinubu to include Sanda among the 175 inmates recently pardoned under the prerogative of mercy principle had reopened painful wounds that had barely healed. He says, and I quote, "To have Miriam Sanda walk the face of the earth again, free from any blemish for her heinous crime, as if she had merely squashed an ant, is the worst possible injustice any family could be made to go through for a loved one." And then the family noted that Sanda, who was convicted by the FCT High Court on January 27, 2020, for the premeditated and cold-blooded murder of her husband, had shown no remorse even for a fleeting moment throughout the saga. And let me just pick this part of the story. They recall that the court's judgment was upheld by the Court of Appeal on December 4th, 2020, and later affirmed by the Supreme Court on October 27, saying the family had found some closure after justice was served. I'm sure there are lots of people who hold various opinions as per these presidential pardons, because there has been several news reports online about the people, the nature of the people who were released, some murderers, some heinous criminals, some kidnappers, right? Some people who were even assassinators, some drug barons, and people have been holding several thoughts as to, why is it this crop of people that are being pardoned? Some are even speculating that it's all part of a grander scheme for the upcoming elections. But we'll never really know until then. But you can read more about this particular story on page 18 of The Punch. To the next story from The Punch as well. This headline here: Fubara swears in SSG, cautions against power abuse. Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara on Monday swore in Benibo Anabraba as the new secretary to the state government, urging him to discharge his duties honorably and avoid abuse of power. Anabraba's appointment marked the first major appointment by Fubara since his reinstatement following the lifting of the 6-month emergency rule declared by President Bola Tinubu on September 18. Anabraba, who was the former minority leader in the Rivers State House of Assembly, on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, also previously served as Commissioner for Housing under the incumbent administration. He was also among those screened by the former factional Speaker of the State Assembly, loyal to the Governor Victor Oko Jumbo. While congratulating the SSG, Fubara described the appointment as an act of divine favor. You can see the story and also read more on the details on page 19 of Punch newspaper. Next story from the Punch we have on the front page here. Lagos rearraigns the kidnap kingpin Evans over 2 cops' murder. That's 2 policemen. The convicted billionaire kidnapper Chukwudumeme Onwamadike, popularly known as Evans, was on Monday rearraigned before Justice Onyidamola Ogala of the Lagos State High Court, sitting in Ikeja over the alleged murder of 2 police officers. The case, which was transferred from Justice Adenike Koka of the Ikeja Division, involves Evans and his co-defendant Joseph Ikenna Emeka. As they resumed proceedings, the prosecution counsel A.O. Aziz appeared for the Lagos State government, while Charity O represented Chief Emefo Etudo on behalf of Evans, and Nelson Onyejako appeared for Emeka. Aziz informed the court that the matter had been transferred and urged that the defendants be rearranged, noting that any pending plea bargain applications previously filed before Justice Coker would not affect the process. And then the defendants were subsequently rearranged on an amended 5-count charge bordering on murder, attempted murder, conspiracy to commit felony to wit, kidnapping, and attempted murder. The prosecutor told the court that Evans and Emeka committed offences on or about August 27, 2013. He further said that the incident took place at about 10 p.m. along 3rd Avenue, Festac Town in Lagos. I'm sure when you hear of Evans, it's not a new name to you. Everyone knows, or most people know, about the kidnap kingpin Evans. Well, it says here that Lagos is rearraigning him over the killing of 2 police. So the matter is right in court, and we'll see how it turns out in the coming days. You can see the story on page 4 of the Punch newspaper. And now let's come down here to Osun State with these headlines that says retired AIG leads probe into killings by Osun Amotekun. The Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has announced that a retired Assistant Inspector General of Police Wale Abbas will lead the investigation into the alleged killings of 3 residents of Akinlalu town by operatives of the state's Amotekun Corps. Abbas, who currently serves as chairman of the Osun Amotekun board, has been directed to ensure a thorough probe into the role of the corps commander Adekunle Omoyele in the incident. Governor Adeleke disclosed this on Monday during a condolence visit to Akinlalu, assuring residents that justice would be served and promising comprehensive medical care for the injured victims. He says, and I quote, "On the demand for the suspension of Omoyele, we are working on it. I have directed the chairman of the Amotekun board, Wale Abbas, to go to Abuja and ensure a thorough investigation Those in the hospital are being taken care of, and the ventilator requested for the victims is already on their way. Their care is my priority at this time. He also further commended the community's youth for maintaining peace despite the tragedy, urging them to remain calm as the investigation progresses. And furthermore, the youth leader, or rather earlier, the youth leader of Akilalu, Musbawa Adeboye, had demanded the suspension and proof of Omoyele over the killing. So that's the update as regards the killings that happened a while ago in Osun State. Retired AIG leads probe into killing by Osun Amotekun. You can find the story and more details about it on page 19 of The Punch. Moving on to the next paper for this morning, there are more defections as Mba opens another gale of governor defections to the ruling party APC. This headline here says Mba opens another gale of governors defections to APC, and this is from The Nation. Today's expected defection of Enugu State Governor Peter Mba to the All Progressives Congress is the beginning of another gale of movement into the ruling party by governors. Mba, who was elected on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, is moving to the ruling party with House of Assembly members, councillors, chairman of council, and others. His exit from the PDP will be followed by that of Bayelsa State Governor Doye Diri, whose defection, it was learned, has been finalized. He says he will move into the APC in a matter of days, according to an official of his government. Another PDP governor of the Northeast has hinted at his movement to the APC, and one of the governor's aides says he's waiting for the final sorting out of details. And then recall that Delta State Governor Sheriff Oborevwori and Akwa Ibom State Governor Umo Eno moved to the ruling party with all their officials and appointments earlier in the year. But of course, Deputy Chairman of the PDP's Governors Forum and Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has dismissed the PDP governor's defection. He believes the party will not be distracted ahead of its next month's convention in Ibadan. So that's the story. More governors. It is been, maybe for now we'll call it rumors, as they have not come out to say it yet, but it is being hinted that okay, since the more defections are happening, then more governors are actually still moving in the coming days. But we'll see what the coming days has in stock for the PDP. But for now, you can read more details about this particular story on page 2 of The Nation. A look at the next headline. FCCPC to enforce CBN rule for banks to refund failed ATM transactions in 48 hours. I'll take that again. FCCPC to enforce CBN rule for banks to refund failed ATM transactions in 48 hours. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, has announced its support for the Central Bank of Nigeria's draft guidelines requiring all banks to refund customers' money in cases of failed automated teller machine transactions within 48 hours. In a statement by its Director of Corporate Affairs, Ondaje Jago, the FCCPC said the exposure of the CBN's draft guidelines on the operations of ATM in Nigeria followed the Commission's consumer complaints data, which was published last month. And it says the report, which covered the period from March to August 2025, showed that the banking and fintech sectors accounted for the highest number of complaints nationwide, and over 3,000 cases in banking alone, with about 10 billion recovered for customers across 30 sectors. And then these same findings highlighted recurring issues such as failed transactions, unauthorized deductions, and delayed refunds, all of which the CBN draft guidelines seek to address. And according to the FCCPC's executive chairman and chief executive officer Tunji Bello, he described the proposal as a timely and long-awaited correction to a persistent consumer challenge. And I am forced to agree with him. In fact, I'm sure a lot of Nigerians like me are forced to agree. I mean, come on, it should even be 24 hours, shouldn't it? Imagine going to an ATM to withdraw your very last card, and then for one reason or the other, you're not able to do that. Your money should be refunded almost immediately. And then we've had cases where it goes on for 24 hours, 48 hours. Sometimes even when you reach out to the bank, they'll tell you 72 hours, or they'll tell you so and so working days. It can be really, really frustrating. So I'm actually glad that something is being done about it, and I am sure a lot of Nigerians are glad as well. But you can read more details about this particular headline and story on page 4 of The Nation. Before we continue with more stories for this morning, I'll go on a very short break. And when I come back, the Dailies continues. We'll look at more stories that made the front pages this morning. Don't go anywhere. It is still the Dailies, and I will be right back.
maka akụkọ okwu gbasara ndọrọndọrọ ọchịchị, egwu ma ọ bụ ihe na-eme na Nigeria ma ọ bụ ihe na-eme na mba ofesi, omenani, mgbasa ozi, ihe ndị a niile dị na redio Afinju. N'eziokwu, redio Afinju bụ nke ezizi na radio stations na Osun State. Radio Afinju bụ amaala na ịgbasa ozi.
For an ultimate entertainment experience. An all-round gist with your spicy honey drops. Don't miss the fun, excitement, and updates on Afinju Arena. Only on Radio Afinju.
Apology for waiting, say don't play, or you will learn.
Champions League knockout of all time.
Ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ eré ìdárayá, ẹ̀yin dà. Ó ti yá láti gbẹnu sí ètò tí yóò máa gbóná rìtìrìtì yeruku lálàlàlá lórí pápá Àfínjú. Ìròyìn wo lẹ fẹ́ gbọ́ nípa eré ìdárayá? Ṣé ti bọ́ọ̀lù aláfẹsẹ̀gbá ni? Aláfọwọ́jù sínú apẹ̀rẹ̀, ẹ̀yìn orí kankéré, tàbí ti tábìlì, ẹ̀kẹ́ òmùwẹ̀, tàbí tàwọn abẹ̀sẹ̀ ya máàpù sójú ẹni? Má dààmú jìnnà, wá gbanu ti Mosúnmọ́lá ọmọ Adégbènró Big Mo, níbi tí yóò ti máa wà yín sí rìn gbé yín débẹ̀, já yín sí ìmọ̀ tó ń lọ lágbolé eré ìdárayá lórí ètò pápá Àfínjú ní gbogbo ìyálẹ̀ta aago 11 sáago 12 ọ̀sán gbẹ̀rẹ̀ lójoojúmọ́ lórí ìkànnì rédíò Àfínjú. Àyà kàtàkàtà Big Mo ti wọlé dé gìjà. Big Mo àti ikọ̀ àwọn àyànnà eré ìdárayá lèmi yóò ganu sí lórí ìkànnì rédíò Àfínjú. Ẹ má lọ gọ̀, pápá Àfínjú ni.
Olókoòwò ẹ súnmọ́ bí. Ẹ̀yin oníṣẹ́ oṣù náà ẹ mọ̀ gbẹ̀yìn,
ẹ̀yin olókoòwò kéékèèké tẹ́ ẹ nílò ìrànlọ́wọ́ owó ẹ tara ṣàṣà máa bọ̀ ètò káràkátà lórí rédíò àfínjú ni kẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ gbọ́ báyìí o lórí ètò yìí ni wọ́n ti máa sọ ìmọ̀ràn fáwọn oníṣẹ́ ọwọ́ àtòníṣẹ́ oṣù ìròyìn látọjú ọjà náà ń bẹ láti mọ bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ káàkiri àwọn ọjà wa ìrànlọ́wọ́ owó fáwọn olókoòwò kéékèèké ò ní gbẹ̀yìn lórí ètò
káràkátà máa gbìnàyà ní gbogbo ọjọ́ ìṣẹ́gun Tuesday lórí rédíò àfínjú ní déédéé aago 12 ọ̀sán.
ẹ wò ó ọ̀pọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ kágbọ̀n ìtọ́wò ni ẹ fi máa dùn ọbẹ̀ ẹ lọ tẹ̀lé rédíò àfínjú káàkiri àwọn àtẹ ayélujára kẹ́ ẹ lè jẹ mùkúntùn ètò káràkátà Adédayọ̀ Dẹ́rínú ọmọ wọn lẹ́sẹ̀ kò jọmọ ó nù ni ó máa tọ́kùn ètò káràkátà ìdàgbàsókè ọrọ̀ ajé ló jẹ wá lógún.
Yeah, Sound Sultan Ninja Ninja. Kenneth, you know what they do. This one of all my brothers, we don't go outside Nigeria, we don't jack more for Nigeria. Always try to look back, cause no place like home, you know what I mean? So Obama tell me, say Ajoda Bile and a true man. Check this out. Oh, yeah, 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 oh. Hey, Ajoda Bile. No matter where you go, make you not forget area, oh. Area, oh. Na Naija tí òde bá ti lè padà wálé o wálé o how I wish say I fit reach you anywhere you dey far away that one no say make you dey born area o motherland yo Chinedu somebody borrow you a go make you travel go Chicago remember Nnamdi selling car so you go America all these people women they raise you still they stay for face me I face you promise say you no go fashi them every other month you go they tashi them Hillary, where you been promised to marry, still they wait till boy she don't tarry. When she see you now inside ovation, you marry Onyibo from another nation. Use mago ghetto. Now your Onyibo wife don't know. Next thing you know, she don't go report you. Waiting you know, they don't deport you. I wish, say, I feel to reach you anywhere you day. You day.
Yes, there is no place like home. No place, Phoebe, like our very own motherland. Even when you travel the world and you go to other places that you think the grass is greener there, your heart is still at home because there is no place like home. I welcome you back to the Dailies this morning on Radio Afinjo, where we look at the stories making front pages of our national dailies, of all our national newspapers. And before I went on that break, I was on The Nation. We've looked at two stories on the front page of The Nation newspaper, but there's still one more story to go. And before I do that, I'll say a quick hello to our Facebook audience. Abiola Boluatefe is saying good morning. Good morning to you as well, Boluatefe. I hope you're well. Thanks for joining the show this morning. On to the next story from The Nation. This headline here says federal government directs VCs to enforce no work, no pay rule. Federal government directs VCs to enforce no work, no pay rule. The federal government has directed vice chancellors to strictly implement the no work, no pay policy on striking members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities. Lecturers who are members of the Congress of University Academics and the National Association of Medical and Dental Academics are, however, exempted from the order for not joining the strike. The striking ASU members began a 14-day warning strike yesterday in spite of the government's appeal to them to have a rethink since it had agreed to most of their demands that are within the purview of the government. And furthermore, academic universities were grounded in many public universities monitored by The Nation correspondents, and some of these universities are the University of Lagos, University of Ibadan, Obafemi Awolowo University, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, University of Maiduguri, University of Ilorin, and Federal University of Petroleum Resources, Efron. I was looking forward to seeing my alma mater there, but apparently, maybe our students of these universities can call in and let us know if this is true as per your school. But more details on this story can be found on page 3 of The Nation. Federal government directs VCs to enforce no work, no pay rule. I mean, this is the Association of Medical and Dental Academics and the Congress of University Academics are exempted from this order because they did not join the strike. Moving on to the next newspaper for this morning, New Telegraph. This headline here says PDP will hold best convention in history despite defections. This is coming from the Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde. Following the recent waves of defection from the opposition People's Democratic Party, Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State has urged members to remain steadfast, assuring them that the current challenges are temporary and the party will emerge stronger. Speaking at the inauguration of the PDP National Convention Transportation Subcommittee on Monday, he encouraged party members not to lose faith, saying the difficulties the PDP is facing will ultimately strengthen it ahead of future elections. He also emphasized that the PDP remains truly a national party, noting that it has members in every ward across Nigeria. He urged supporters to hold their corner for the party and resist discouragement over ongoing defections. Well, I can't say that will be easy considering the recent wave of defections. However, he also reacted to the recent wave of defections. He said it does not spell the end for the PDP, but rather an opportunity to rebuild with renewed purpose and authenticity. He also expressed confidence that the upcoming convention, which has been postponed by the way, would produce capable and visionary leaders who can restore Nigerians' faith in the PDP and the country. So that is from your state governor. PDP will hold the best convention in history despite recent defections. So hold the fort. Don't waver. PDP will emerge stronger. That's Seyi Makinde's message to members. And you can find this story and more details on it on page 3 and 4 of the New Telegraph newspaper. Moving on to the next paper for the morning, we have Vanguard newspaper, and I will kick it off with this sports headline that says "Do or Die clash. 3 teams, 1 chance." Do or die clash. 3 teams, 1 chance, as there can only be 1 winner. And it says today is the D-Day, the day of reckoning for the Super Eagles. The day the nation is expected to pray for the players as they attempt to do the near impossible in securing qualifications for the 2026 World Cup, which will be hosted by 3 countries: America, Mexico, and Canada. And then he also says it is a day that will be filled with mathematics. I can attest to that one. Momentum and madness, as well as a day of drama with unpredictability and heartbreak. Well, hopefully the heartbreak does not come from Nigerians. The Godswill Akpabio Stadium in Uyo will come alive as the Super Eagles host the Cheetahs of Benin Republic in their final Group C clash of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers, with their qualification hopes hanging on a thread. A very thin thread, I might add. The Super Eagles must win and rely on results elsewhere to keep their World Cup dream alive. Nigeria's 2026 World Cup qualifying campaign has been a very frustrating one, marked by missed opportunities and costly draws that have left them needing a miracle on the final day, especially after failing to qualify for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, losing that ticket to arch rivals Ghana. A few would have imagined that Super Eagles facing the possibility of missing out on back-to-back tournaments. And since making their World Cup debut in 1994, Nigeria have never failed to qualify for consecutive editions. Well, our fingers crossed, and I hope we don't start now. So, do or die clash, 3 teams, 1 chance. Well, let's just keep the hope alive. Yes, I know it's a very thin thread. It's a very short thread, short hope, or short rope of hope, but let us still keep it alive in the spirit of one Nigeria. And of course, like the article says, let us pray, hope, join hands together and encourage the Super Eagles, and I pray that they emerge victorious. You can find this story and more details about the match on page 6 and 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. The next headline, and the last one from the Vanguard, it says NNPCL others hike fuel price to 955 naira per litre. NNPC others hike fuel price to 955 naira per litre. The price of premium motor spirits, otherwise known as petrol, as yesterday increased by 6.8% to 955 naira per litre from 890 naira per litre sold last week. Vanguard gathered that stations of the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) and stations owned by independent marketers in Lagos and Abuja showed that the petrol was dispersed between 900 and 955 naira per litre. In a phone interview with the Public Relations Officer, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Mr. Chinedu Ukadike attributed the hike to supply and logistics challenges incurred by major marketers in the industry, which include NNPCL and Dangote Refinery. He noted, and I quote, Dangote increased their loading price to 845 naira per litre as against 825 naira earlier sold, thereby resulting to a selling price of between 900 naira and 955 naira, depending on the location. He further said that we are aware that NNPCL supplies only to their retail outlets. Presently, the supply at Dangote is not sufficient for marketers, and most of our members who paid for products to Dangote are yet to load for 2 weeks now. And he further said that when people are scrambling for products, it results to hike in price, and some marketers who paid to buy about 3 million litres from Dangote were only given 1 million litres as they complained of products being rationed amongst marketers. So that's the story, and you can find more details about it on page 15 of the Vanguard newspaper. So I think since last week or a couple of days back, there has been reports of certain scarcity of petrol in certain areas, and of course it is expected that when there is increase in demand, there's always most of the time as well an increase in the price. So for now, in Lagos and Abuja, there are reports that fuel is being sold as high as from 922 naira to 955 naira compared to 825 naira that is being sold earlier. Well, hopefully there is a resolve as to this fuel situation in the coming days. And back to the New Telegraph, I have this headline here that says National Assembly proposes November 2026 for presidential and guber polls. National Assembly proposes November 2026 for presidential and guber polls. As the clamor for comprehensive electoral reforms gather momentum, the National Assembly's Joint Committee on Electoral Matters has proposed that the next presidential and gubernatorial elections to hold in November 2026. The proposal, which is contained in the draft copy of the amendments to the Electoral Act 2022, states that elections into the two offices should be conducted not later than 185 days before the expiration of the tenure of the incumbent, which is May 29, 2027. The draft amendment, which was presented at a public hearing at the National Assembly on Monday, stated thus, and I quote, Section 4, subsection 7 of the proposed amendment states, elections into the office of the President and Governor of a state shall be held not later than 185 days before the expiration of the term of office of the last holder of the office, and by implication 185 days before May 29, 2027 clearly shows that the election must be conducted in or before November 2026. In the same vein, Section 4, Subsection 5 of the proposed amendment to the 2022 Electoral Act states as follows: election into the state houses of assembly and the National Assembly shall be held not later than 185 days before the date on which each of the houses stands dissolved. The proposed amendment sought the conduct of elections 6 months before the expiration of the tenure of the incumbent, as explained by the Chairman, House of Representatives Committee on Electoral Matters, Honorable Adebayo Balogun. But you can read more details on this story. National Assembly proposes November 2026 for presidential and gubernatorial polls. You can find the story on page 2 of the New Telegraph newspaper. And to call it a wrap for the dailies this morning, I'll leave you with this last story from the Guardian newspaper that says 72.64% of Nigeria's petrol imported amid rivalry from new refineries. 72.64% of Nigeria's petrol imported amid rivalry from new refineries. And it says here that Nigeria's reliance on petrol imports has deepened despite the commissioning of the 650,000 barrel per day Dangote refinery, as new data revealed that imported petrol accounted for 72.64% of total national consumption in the last 9 months. This comes as many African countries race to build new refineries or complete the overhaul of existing facilities, a development that would rival Dangote refinery and Nigeria's ambitious plan to become the continent's refining hub. According to the figures from the Federation Account Allocation Committee, FAC, the country consumed 12.5 billion litres of petrol between October 2024 and July 2025, of which 9.08 billion litres were imported, while 3.5 billion litres came from domestic supply, mainly the Dangote refinery. I mean, I'm also shocked by this data. If 72.64% of our own petrol is imported among the rivalry that's currently going on, then it's a cause for alarm. But that will be the last story and the last headlines I'll be looking at today. You can find more details on this data and reports on page 6 on the Guardian newspaper. And with with that, I call it a wrap on the dailies this morning. I hope I have successfully been able to point you in the right direction and you know where to look when you're looking for details about all or most of the stories.